Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is March 26th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You've got the state of California to the right. There's the Hawaiian Islands to the bottom left. We got our next storm system out over the Pacific Ocean. It's going to impact much of the west coast, initially the Pacific Northwest, but it's going to be casting a frontal system across northern and central California. Then the storm system will reorganize down the coast of California, bringing some high impacts potentially to much of the state, including flooding concerns, big waves, big mountain snows, and some strong winds. We'll dive into those details as we go through the video this morning. This is the initial frontal system, 11 a.m. tomorrow morning through 11 a.m. Thursday, 6 to 12 inches above 5,500 feet. That's going to impact a lot of the pass areas there, and 2 feet at the highest peaks, wind gusts in excess of 45 miles per hour. Now, taking a look at the wind gust forecast does include some of the valley areas too, and you're gonna feel this frontal system as it initially moves through. The highest winds across the Sierra Nevada, but some minor impacts could be expected. And this is showing you a Donner Summit. So as we go through the day tomorrow, you notice that snowfall starting to increase there, and that is below the pass levels out there. So be prepared for those winter driving conditions. Snow levels right around 5,000 to 6,000 feet, and Donner Summit is about 7,300 feet. If you want a nice, affordable home weather station, click on that link down below to save 10% off. It's all solar powered. There's many ways to install it. Haptic rain gauge, ultrasonic anemometer. It's got a lightning detection system with it as well. Great smartphone app, and stores all the data for you in the cloud, so highly recommended. Now let's take a look at what the Doppler radar may look like for the next couple of days. There's going to be a thunderstorm threat across some of Arizona. So as we go through the afternoon hours, some of the activity popping off. And the initial stages of this frontal system start to move through late tonight and on into tomorrow morning. There's the frontal system, Northern California, moving down across the Bay Area, bringing some rainfall, mountain snows, some breezy conditions out there. And then we bring some cold air aloft behind that, which is going to kick off and reintroduce a thunderstorm threat across portions of California. Then the next storm system starts to get organized here. More on that here in a minute. But first, looking at the lightning flash density potential for today, you can see it does exist across Arizona, Utah, some of eastern Nevada, and on in through New Mexico. Then we scroll through Wednesday, and it starts to reintroduce that thunderstorm threat here as we go through Wednesday and Wednesday evening here. And then you can see the colder air aloft is going to be arriving for the day Thursday also. Now, taking a look here, this is the west coast. You can see California is here. There's the Hawaiian Islands to the bottom left. You've got the European weather model on the left, the GFS on the right. This is last night's run. If we put this into motion, you can clearly see that dynamic system off the Pacific Northwest, and we drop down this next system off the coastline here. And that's kind of a sweet spot. It's going to bring some strong winds, some big wave action, and some mountain snows. Could bring some convective activity on through some areas of the state as well. You can't even rule out some water spouts or maybe some brief tornadoes also. So we'll dive into those details over the next few days, especially as we get towards the high resolution models and we really figure out the track of the storm, because it's still a little bit out. You know, today is only Tuesday, and this is looking at Friday afternoon. So we're going to be fine tuning these details. The track of the storm is going to mean everything for the expected impacts across much of California. And if we look at that here, the sea level pressure map versus 6-hour precipitation totals, there's that initial storm system, frontal system cast down across California and central California. It loses its punch really before it gets to Southern California, but this next storm system is definitely going to have eyes on Southern California. As you see this deep low right off the coastline here, pumping back some of the subtropical moisture into Southern California here, and kind of slow moving, hanging out. You can imagine some of the convective activity we're going to have with the low pressure center right off the point conception there for Southern California as well. So yeah, March definitely not going out like a lamb. Pretty dynamic storm system likely incoming here as we go through this weekend. Taking a look at the European versus the Canadian, just to give you some idea of the model agreement. You can see the Canadian model virtually the same as the GFS and the European, with a strong low pressure center right off the Bay Area here as we go on in through the day Friday. Now, this is the European 100-meter wind speed. I'm just kind of giving you a nice visual representation of what's going on just off the surface here. You can see the strong frontal system with the storm initially, and then the redevelopment of that storm system here right off the coast of California. Some big winds potentially with the storm system as well. So if we look at the North American model, this is a closer look at things here. This is the state of California, and we put this into motion. It's about 2,500 feet up in the atmosphere. There's the initial frontal system here, and then you'll see it plain as day as this next system really parks. What a beast right off the Bay Area here. Powerful low pressure center here. Nice subtropical tap. Man, this storm is going to pack quite the punch here. So it'll be interesting to break this down and see if the models are really coming into the agreement, which it looks like they are, with a very powerful storm right off the coastal areas here. This is total precipitation in inches on last night's European run. There's the initial frontal system here. And then we swing this next system across the area, bringing some very heavy rainfall across Southern California as well. It could reintroduce some rock and mudslides out there. And of course, there's some flooding concerns with it as well, and even some big mountain snows across the higher terrain. So if we take a look at the European, this is a 24-hour difference. This is last night's versus the previous 24 hours here on the 24th, about 11 p.m. So if we put this into motion, there's the initial storm system here, and then you see the redevelopment there. And again, last night's run, kind of the sweet spot. This one a little bit further off the coastline, maybe a little bit lesser of impacts, but it still would bring a dynamic storm to much of the state and much of the southwest here. So we're still trying to work out some of these details on the exact track of the storm, because that's going to have big implications on just how dynamic the impacts will be across California. So the GFS, this one is hot off the presses on the left, and this is the GFS as of yesterday, so about 18-hour difference. Put this into motion and you can clearly see the initial storm system and then the redevelopment of it right off the coastline. The GFS, pretty darn right consistent in its evolutions here as far as the dynamic system, setting up shop right off the coastline here. Man, what a storm this is going to be as we wrap up March. Now taking a look at total snow 10-to-1 ratio. Again, the GFS hot off the presses. Here goes the initial frontal system, and that's going to bring some problems across some of the higher terrain of the Sierra Nevada. And then the next storm gets wrapped up here and starts to bring some heavy snow, maybe even down towards Southern California as well. So looking forward to some of that snowpack building across much of the Sierra Nevada here as we go through the end of March on into the early portion of April. Here's the 6 to 10 day through April 4th. You clearly see the below average signal here across much of the southwest. There's the 6 to 10 day precipitation, huge bullseye across much of the region as well. 8 to 14 day continuing on with some of the below average temperatures here and above average precipitation. And snowpack wise across the Sierra Nevada doing quite well. And we're really going to kind of add on to this also. So this is going to be very nice to see as we move on into early April. And this is the areas that it measures, the entire section of the Sierra Nevada here, which was what I was showing you. So yeah, anyway, we're going to have fun breaking the storm system down the next couple of days. I might start doing 2 videos a day depending on just how the storm looks, to try to keep everybody updated on the latest with this storm system here, because this is really going to pack a punch, it looks like, for much of the state here, including big wave action and some coastal erosion out there as well as some coastal flooding also. So lots to break down over the next few days. I hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We will do this all again tomorrow, break everything down and take a look at how the models are trending, and I will talk to you guys then.